They were happy together. They loved each other. They were only missing one thing. A child. 6 years of hope. Countless doctor visits. Sleepless nights, prayers, and tears no one ever saw. She blamed herself. He cried at night, thinking she didn't hear. And then, a miracle. 2 lines. Their first real happiness. The dream finally coming true. But they didn't know yet. Their journey to becoming a family was only beginning. And sometimes, the right to be parents is something you have to fight for. This is a story about love stronger than loss. About faith that survives the darkest moments. And about doors that open only for those who never stop knocking.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
When the doors are closed. My name is Clara, and the 6 years of my marriage to John were both the happiest and the most painful of my life. We got married young, with those big, bright plans that people in love always make. A small house with white curtains. A wooden cradle beside our bed. The sound of a child's laughter echoing down the hallway. But the years went by. And our home remained quiet. John never blamed me. Never. On the contrary. He held me tighter whenever he saw me counting days on the calendar again. But I knew. He dreamed of children. I saw the way he looked at babies in the park. The way his eyes lit up whenever we visited his sister. His sister's name is Amelia. She is warm, lively, always a little tired, a mother of 3. 2 boys. The oldest, Lucas, serious beyond his years, and the middle one, Nathan, a mischievous little boy with dimples. And the youngest, Sophia. A little girl with curly hair who always ran to John shouting, "Uncle June." John visited them very often. He played soccer with the boys in the backyard, lifted Sophia high into the air, and she laughed so brightly that my heart filled with both joy and pain. I watched him and knew he was meant to be a father. And I couldn't give him that. I lived the right way. I gave up coffee. Woke up for runs at 6 in the morning. I ate vegetables, counted calories, took vitamins. We visited dozens of doctors. Bright offices, cold examination tables, the same words again and again. Everything looks normal. We don't see a reason. But the miracle didn't come. I went to church. I sat on a bench beneath the stained glass and watched the light fall in colored patterns across the floor. I whispered, "God, I'm not asking for wealth. I'm not asking for success. Please give me a child." And all my thoughts were only about that. Day, night, even in my dreams. The hardest thing was watching John. He never cried in front of me. He thought I didn't notice. But I heard him at night. He would lie turned toward the wall, trying to breathe evenly. I would touch his shoulder. "I'm here," I whispered. "I know," he would answer. And he would squeeze my hand as if he was afraid to lose me. And then one morning, I woke up feeling strange. As if something had changed. I felt a little nauseous, my heart beating faster. I didn't want to hope again, but something inside me whispered, "Check." I took a test. I stood in the bathroom holding it, afraid to look. 1 line. I closed my eyes. Then I opened them again. 2 clear pink lines. It felt like the world had stopped moving. I slowly sat down on the floor. I started laughing and crying at the same time. My hands were shaking. "Is this real?" I whispered. I ran to the bedroom. John was still lying in bed, sleepy, his hair messy, eyes half closed. "Clara, what time is it?" he murmured. I silently handed him the test. At first he didn't understand. Then he sat up. His eyes moved over the lines. And I watched his face change. "This is..." "Yes," I could barely speak. He looked at me like he was afraid to believe it. "Are you sure?" 2 lines, John. He covered his face with his hands. Then he pulled me into his arms. We sat there on the bed, holding each other, crying. He kept repeating, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." We decided not to tell anyone right away. The first 2 months felt like a fragile crystal dream. I was careful with every movement, listening to my body, talking to the baby as I gently touched my belly. And finally, we invited everyone for dinner. My parents, my mom Elizabeth and my dad Henry, arrived first. Mom hugged me right away and said I looked like I was glowing. I just smiled. John's parents, Margaret and Thomas, brought a homemade pie. Amelia came with Lucas, Nathan, and Sophia. The house filled with laughter, children's footsteps, the smell of roasted meat and cinnamon. I carried the secret in my heart, and it was beating so loudly it felt like everyone could hear it. After dinner, John stood up. His face was a little red with nervousness. "Clara and I want to share something important." I took his hand. "In a few months," I began, and my voice trembled. John squeezed my fingers. "There will be another little heartbeat in our family." For a moment, silence. Then my mother covered her mouth. "Clara, you're—" I nodded. Margaret was the first to cry. Thomas took off his glasses and wiped his eyes. My father stood up and hugged John so tightly he could barely breathe. Amelia started crying, holding Sophia close. I knew it would happen. I knew it. Lucas asked seriously, "So I'm going to be the older cousin?" "Yes," John laughed. Nathan shouted, "Yay, another one for soccer." And Sophia simply walked up to me, placed her little hand on my belly, and asked, "There's a baby in there?" "Yes," I whispered, "there's a baby." That evening, our home was filled with light. The candles flickered softly, the kettle hummed in the kitchen, and I sat there with John's hand resting on my belly. He leaned down and whispered, "I've been waiting for you for so long, our little miracle." And I understood then. All those years of pain, tears, and prayers were not in vain. They made this moment priceless. I no longer looked at John with pain. I looked at him with love. Because now in his eyes there was not only longing. There was life. Our happiness didn't last long. 4 months. I had already gotten used to touching my belly, whispering to the baby, imagining his little face. Every evening John would press his ear against me and smile, as if he could already hear a heartbeat. We started preparing the nursery. Light walls, small white curtains, a wooden crib that John assembled himself, slowly and carefully, as if it were the most important thing he had ever built. And then one day, the doctor spoke quietly, too quietly. I looked at the screen, but I didn't understand anything. I was waiting for one word, one sound, but there was no heartbeat. "I'm so sorry," the doctor said. The world collapsed. I don't remember how we got home. I don't remember the drive. I don't remember the days after that. There was only emptiness, physical, heavy, unbearable, as if something inside me had gone silent. Too silent. John stayed strong. For me, he made tea, tucked the blanket around me, sat beside me without a word. But I saw the truth. Every evening he went into the nursery. He sat on the floor next to the crib. And he cried, quietly, so I wouldn't hear, but I did. There were tiny onesies folded neatly in the drawer. Little socks. A plush teddy bear he had bought, for the first day. That room was no longer about hope. It was about loss. A week later, I couldn't take it anymore. I packed a suitcase. I thought if I went to my mom's for a while, it might be easier. That I needed to breathe somewhere else. Because every corner of our home reminded me of what we had lost. When I zipped the suitcase, John was standing in the doorway. He didn't speak for a few seconds. He just looked at me. "I'm going to stay with my mom, for a little while," I whispered. He walked toward me slowly, took my hand, and suddenly pulled me into a tight embrace. I felt him trembling. "We're not giving up," he said quietly. "Do you hear me? We're not giving up. We're going to fight. For us. For our family." I closed my eyes, and in that moment, something between us changed. It was as if the wall that had grown after the loss fell apart. I didn't want to run anymore. I stayed. We started talking again, crying together, sitting in silence together, holding hands even when we had no strength left for words or hope. After some time, we went to a fertility clinic. IVF, tests, exams, consultations, new fears, new waiting. Everything started over, slowly, carefully, with a small but living hope. I began to notice that John was coming home later than usual. One evening I asked, "Are you working more?" He gave a tired smile. I took a second job. Deliveries. In the evenings. "John," my breath caught. "It's expensive," he said calmly. "But this is our dream. I'll do whatever it takes." That night, I cried for a long time. But these were different tears. Not from pain, from love, and that was the day I understood something. The right to have your own family is not always given easily. Sometimes you have to fight for it. Step by step, tear by tear, hope against fear, and we fought, together. I got pregnant again. When the test showed 2 lines, I didn't scream with joy. I just sat on the edge of the bathtub and stared at it for a long time. Now happiness always came with fear. John and I decided not to tell anyone. No celebrations, no announcements, only prayers. Every evening we sat together on the bed, holding hands. John would place his palm over my belly and whisper, "Please, stay with us." I prayed too, every day, every night, but again, one morning I felt the familiar pain. The same fear that had once shattered our world. The doctor didn't look me in the eyes. And I understood, before he even said the words. I walked out of the office empty. Inside, it was quiet again. When I saw John in the hallway, I couldn't speak. I just shook my head. He stepped toward me, and held me tightly. I felt his heart pounding. "We lost another battle," he whispered. "But we didn't lose the war." He pressed his forehead against mine. "We'll keep knocking on closed doors. One day, they'll open." I cried in his arms. But for the first time, there was something else inside the pain. Strength. Sometime later, there was another pregnancy. And another loss. Each time felt like watching our dream die all over again. My body grew tired. My heart kept breaking. I was afraid to look at strollers on the street. Afraid to hear children laughing. But the hardest part was coming home and seeing John trying to be strong for me. One evening he said quietly, "Clara, what if we adopt? Somewhere, there's a child waiting for us." I looked at him, and I understood. This wasn't despair. This was love. We submitted our application, but we didn't stop trying to become parents biologically. John worked late into the night. I saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the cold in his hands after long evenings working delivery routes. And I went to the clinic like it was my job. Tests, procedures, waiting. I wasn't afraid of loss anymore. I just kept moving forward, step by step, toward my dream. And while we were waiting for a response from the children's home, I got pregnant again. When I told John, he was silent for a few seconds. Then he walked over and held me tightly. "Let me hold you now," he said softly. "So it won't hurt so much if we lose this one too." I laughed through my tears. But this time, something was different. I wasn't living in fear. I was living in faith. I talked to the baby. I felt him. Every morning I woke up with one thought: "You're going to stay. I know you will." And I didn't give up. Month after month, quietly, carefully, with hope. And 9 months later, he was born, our son. We named him Nicholas. He came into the world on St. Nicholas Day. When the doctor placed him on my chest, I cried like all the years of pain were leaving my body at once. John stood beside me, unable to speak. He was laughing and crying at the same time. He took Nick in his arms, lifted him gently, and said with a trembling voice, "Clara, do you see? We did it. We won. We believed." In that moment, I understood. He wasn't just a baby. He was our journey, our tears, our fight, our love. And sometime later, the phone rang. It was the children's home. "We have a little girl for you." I looked at John. He didn't even wait for me to answer. He was already taking out his tools. And that same evening, he was assembling another small crib. This time, for our daughter. 3 years have passed. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and lie still for a few seconds with my eyes closed, just listening to the sounds of our home. Soft little footsteps. Children's laughter. John's voice from the kitchen. "Nick, don't spill the milk, it's too late." And every time, my heart tightens with the same feeling. This isn't a dream. This is our life. Our son Nicholas is 3 now. He runs through the house with toy cars, builds towers from blocks, and wakes John every morning saying, "Daddy, wake up." The day started, and in the next room is our daughter. Her name is Emma. She came to us from the children's home a few months after Nicholas was born. Small, quiet, with big cautious eyes. The first days, she barely cried. She just watched, as if she was waiting to see if we would stay. I remember the moment John held her in his arms and whispered, "We're not going anywhere. We're yours." Now she's 2.5. She laughs the loudest in the house, hugs her brother so tightly he sometimes complains, and calls John, "My daddy," with a pride that sounds like the most important title in the world. Our home is no longer quiet. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes messy, sometimes exhausting, and it's the happiest place in the world. In the evenings, after the kids fall asleep, John and I sometimes sit together in the nursery, the same room that once held so much pain. This is where he once sat on the floor and cried quietly. This is where we once believed our dream might never come true. Now there are toys scattered everywhere, drawings on the walls, 2 small beds standing side by side. Sometimes John looks around and says, "Remember when we thought we had lost?" I take his hand. We were just walking a longer road. We went through loss, fear, hospitals, tests, tears, silence, exhaustion. We knocked on closed doors. Again and again. And sometimes they didn't open. But one day, they did. Not just one. Many. Now I believe something with all my heart. Sometimes life doesn't give you what you ask for right away. Sometimes it asks how much you're willing to fight. How deeply you believe. How far you're willing to go for your dream. A family isn't always an easy path. Sometimes it's a path through pain. But if you walk it together, if you hold hands, if you refuse to give up, one day you'll wake up. And you'll hear laughter in your home. And you'll understand, it was worth it, because doors open, for those who never stop knocking. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss new stories. And also write in the comments how you liked this story on a scale of 1 to 5. Watch the following video and enjoy watching.